Hello everybody, today I'll be revisiting an old video where I'll be ranking the 12 rookies from the Hidden Leaf, this time in Shippuden. Now I've actually been kinda dreading making this video, since like I said before, a lot of these guys become side characters in the latter half of the series and don't really get that many feats. And I know that some of these guys are really popular with the fan base, and I'll get crucified if I give them a low rank, like whew. Try to go easy on me and try to consider my reasoning rather than just the rank. Now the way that I'll be ranking these guys won't be as simple as who can beat who in a battle. I'll of course be using strength, but I'll also be using feats, jutsu, and who I think would make more of an asset on the battlefield. I'll also say that there's a massive strength disparity within this group, and I bet that most of the people can already guess who the first two spots are. And I'll just say that regardless of how I rank these guys, there's bound to be some criticism in the comments, so I won't focus on that and let's just begin. Number 12, Kiba. Now this is probably the most significant drop from number 8 to number 12, but if I had to put someone in last, it'd definitely be Kiba. And I think people would agree with me. He doesn't really do much and he kinda gets reduced to a clown-like character with how he actually thinks he has a chance at becoming Hokage. The first time we see him being useful is when he's able to pick up Sasuke's scent when the Konoha ninja are tracking him. And even then, Karin is able to confuse his senses with an old sweaty shirt of Sasuke's that she kept in her possession. Ugh. And even Naruto's clones are more effective in the search. He also flexes on Naruto that he can create only one shadow clone. Bruh. And his best feat is being able to take down a couple of Jubi clones, which every other member of the cast was able to take down without trouble. He's able to create a three-headed wolf, which doesn't really seem to be that different from its two-headed counterpart. Even if I include the filler, it doesn't really help Kiba much. There's actually a filler where Kiba asks Kakashi to train him so that he can catch up to Naruto, and Kakashi ditches him and leaves Pakun to train him. So while Naruto and Sasuke are fighting Akatsuki members in the start of Shippuden, Kiba's struggling against Kakashi's pets. Number 11, Shino. Whoa, number 6 to number 11. I'm gonna catch a lot of shit for this one. Now I personally think that Shino has the potential to rank much higher than this, but if you think he was done dirty in part 1, it's somehow worse in Shippuden. Simply put, he doesn't really do a whole lot in the manga. He manages to surround good old Toby with his bugs, but then we find out that Toby was just trolling these guys. The next time we see him fight is against Conan, and even when he's backed up by his father and other Aburame clansmen, he's not able to damage Conan, like at all, and only manages to free a random leaf fodder from her paper. He's also, like Kiba, able to deal with some Jubi clones by implanting a parasitic insect that expands within the target. However, like I said, every member of the cast is able to deal with these Jubi clones. And while this expanding parasitic insect does seem impressive on paper, it'd need a better feat for me to take it more seriously. If we consider the anime filler, then Shino does have a few more feats, like he's able to deal with reanimated Torine, but Torine's only feat really is getting cucked by Obito, so I think it's a fair placement. Number 10, Tenten. Now, in contrary to what you'd think, I didn't only place Tenten at number 10 because of her name. Tenten's in the same tier as Shino and Kiba. I'd say that she's the weakest member of Team Guy, and against the 30% Kisame clone, she seemed to struggle the most. Now to be fair, Kisame kinda dicked down all of Team Guy, with clones of a clone at that, so it wasn't only Tenten that was struggling, but there's even an anime scene added that shows Tenten losing her breath in the water bubble first, which prompts Guy to open the 6th gate. That being said, the reason she's made it as far as number 10 is because she's able to wield the Sage of the Six Paths tools, which require a boatload of chakra to wield. The Gold and Silver brothers possess the Nine Tails chakra, and hence is why they can wield those tools. yet somehow Tenten can as well. With them, she's able to destroy some of Kakuzu's hearts that gave early Shippuden Kakashi trouble. That being said, that's pretty much the only feat that Tenten has. One thing that's interesting is that Tenten possessed the 6 Paths treasured tools, which are stated to be able to seal anything and everything. And when Madara became the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, he stated that he'd become immortal. So you could make the argument that Tenten is the only person other than Naruto and Sasuke that had the ability to defeat him. But to assume that she wouldn't just get annihilated instantly by him would be giving her too much credit. Maybe in an alternate universe, Tenten would have been a hero. Who knows? Number 9. Hinata Hyuga. Oh, people love Hinata, so I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. Hinata actually gets a lot more screen time than all the previous entries and some of the following entries. But the thing is, most of it's just developing her as Naruto's love interest, rather than them being combat feats. During the Pain Invasion, she intercepts Tendo Pain, and the anime even extends Hinata's fight with Pain a bit. She's not really capable of damaging the Diva Path at all, and even if we include the filler, the best she does is blow him back a bit, with Tendo implying that he can kill her at any moment. Now this isn't an anti-feat or anything, as Tendo Pain would stomp everyone on this list, with the exception of maybe the top 3 entries. So the fact that she stood her ground against him is impressive. But like I said, she wasn't really able to damage Tendo in the slightest. In the early war arc, she also doesn't do much other than fight White Zetsu. Now after Neji's death and getting a cloak from Naruto, she's able to deflect one of the Ten Tails' hands, which is a better feat than either of her teammates displayed. And like the rest, is able to deal with some lesser Jubi clones. That being said, that's kind of it for her feats. Like I said, the narrative was more so focused on her relationship with Naruto and never really portrayed her as a top tier within the rookies. Number 8. Neji Hyuga. Neji's shown himself to be the strongest, in base at least, when talking about Team Guy, and he's the only one of the rookies to become a Jonin by Shippuden. He was able to break out of Kisame's water prison jutsu, though it's worth mentioning that he struggled at first and was restrained inside the water prison for a bit, and that this was a clone of a 30% clone of Kisame, so I can't really say he's in that high Jonin caliber as of yet. His Byakugan seems to have extended its range, seeing as how he's able to locate all the tags for the Akatsuki hideout entrance. In the war arc, he's able to fend off some of the Ten Tails attacks and fight some White Zetsu, but that's kind of it. He suffers from that whole being demoted to side character syndrome, and his death is used as a plot device to develop Naruto and Hinata's relationship. Now while Hinata actually has better feats than Neji, the reason I put Neji above her is because Neji is considered by the Hyuga and by Hinata herself to be the prodigy of the clan, having learned the Gentle Fist by himself, and Hinata's better feats are only performed when she's amped up by Naruto's Kyuubi chakra and when she has a resolve amp due to Neji's death. If you want to put Hinata above Neji, I'd say that not much would change really, and I do think that they're both roughly at the same rank due to both having the same combat arsenal. Neji does have this feat in the filler where he's able to free Gaara, the Kazekage, and Fu, the Seven Tails Jinchuriki, from the enemy's Bijou extraction, but he's really able to do this due to the fact that they were protected by Fu's cocoon, and Neji just disables the connection and doesn't do much fighting. Number 7. Ino Yamanaka. Phew, Ino at number 7 above Neji. Okay, just calm down, take a breath, just listen to what I have to say. I know that a lot of people really dislike Ino and will be like, oh, she is number 7, she's fodder. Settle down. The truth is, Ino actually has better feats than most of the rookies in the war and is kinda underrated. She's pretty useless in early Shippuden with how her kink is revealed against Kakuzu, but in the war arc, she's pivotal in the sealing of Kinkaku, who was holding his own against Darui's entire division. She's the reason he was sealed, and her quick thinking is able to save a dazed Choji from Asuma's attack, where she also displays the ability to use the mind transfer jutsu on more than one victim at the same time. Later in the war arc, she's able to use the mind transfer on Rinnegan Obito and diverts a 10-tails blast away from the allied shinobi force, saving countless lives. She's then able to take over her father Inoichi's role as the allied shinobi's communications medium, where she's able to relay Shikamaru's message to thousands of shinobi at the same time. Now, she doesn't really come close to scaling to the guys she's pulling this jutsu on, and she might not even scale above some of the previous entries when it comes to strictly combat. I can see some entries below her maybe defeating her in a 1v1, but the mind transfer is pretty hacks, and she does have better feats and more significant contributions than Neji, Tenten, or Shino, who really weren't expanded on in Shippuden. And honestly, credits due where credits due. Ino managing to catch Obito lacking is a better feat than any of the previous ones. Number 6. Shikamaru Nara, everybody's favorite tactician. Shikamaru is the character that I think gets the most development behind Team 7 in Shippuden. I mean, he even has his own character arc where he loses his sensei to the zombie duo Hidan and Kakuzu. Shikamaru was actually doing better against Hidan than Asuma, and if it wasn't for Shikamaru paralyzing Hidan in place, Asuma wouldn't have been able to chop his head off. And if it wasn't for Shikamaru deciphering Hidan's ritual, Asuma would have died earlier. Easily Jonin level. Shikamaru then pursues Asuma's killers with Choji and Ino and Kakashi, thankfully. God, they would have gotten slaughtered without Kakashi. Anyways, Shikamaru is actually the only one that's capable in this fight from his team, and Ino and Choji become a liability. Shikamaru is actually able to rescue his teammates multiple times. He actually manages to catch both Hidan and Kakuzu with his shadow paralysis, and even when Kakuzu breaks free, he's able to move Hidan like a puppet and force Kakuzu into a corner. Now, it's implied that Kakuzu's way beyond his league and that Kakashi is gonna have to be the one to deal with him, but Shikamaru is still able to use his intellect to compensate and uses his partner Hidan's ritual against him. Now, he did beat Hidan, but the narrative implication is that he outwitted him. Not so much that he was stronger than Hidan, as much as he was crafty. He had an entire setup ready to go, so no, I don't think Shikamaru scales to the Akatsuki. He's still pretty tough, don't get me wrong. If we move to the war, he's able to trap Ginkaku in his shadow possession, though it does seem to drain him a bit. He's then able to keep up with Asuma, which doesn't really tell us that much. We already established that he scales to Asuma. He actually doesn't get as many feats as his teammates in the war arc. He does manage to trap Obito with his shadow jutsu, but Obito doesn't really have to worry here. He's got Kamui, and Obito seems pretty relaxed, not like he's trapped. He also seems to get much weaker as the war progresses, and wasn't able to keep up with the higher caliber shinobi. The reason I rank Shikamaru higher than Ino is because Ino is kind of a one-trick pony, and Shikamaru is more versatile, and he's got better feats than most of the previous entries, and took down an Akatsuki member, which is an accomplishment for sure. Number 5. Choji Akimichi. Calm down, let me explain myself here. Choji is either kinda broken or kinda garbage, so I get you. The thing is, this is kinda part of his character story, that he's too kind to fight. At least that's how Shikamaru describes it. And that one day, he'd be able to transform that kindness into true strength. Asuma actually believed that Choji was the strongest member of Team 10. Even though he did get done dirty by Kakuzu, he gets him back when he's able to one-shot both Asuma and Kakuzu when in this form. Now, Kakuzu isn't dead. Wait, he is. I mean, he's technically 5 entities, so he didn't get Kakuzu with all his hearts. But Kakuzu's main body is the strongest one. He then manages to wrestle the Ghetto Mazu for a bit. Like, that's crazy. Though it should be worth mentioning that the Ghetto Mazu overpowered both him and Choza. But still, the Ghetto Mazu is pretty OP. It is the husk of the Ten-Tails. He also doesn't seem to get as tired as Shikamaru in the later stages of the war. And once he's bloomed, I believe that he surpassed some of his colleagues. Not all, of course. Number 4. Rock Lee. Now I know, you might come across this and be like, what? Shippuden did Rock Lee dirty. His only notable feat before the war arc was getting dismantled by a clone of a clone. But the thing is, there's one character that makes the power cliff, and that's Might Guy, who Rock Lee is able to keep up with more or less. In the war arc, Rock Lee and Might Guy are using combination attacks, and while I'm not saying that he's as strong as Might Guy, the fact that he can keep up with him at all is insane. Lee can open up to the 6th gate, which is still pretty tough. 6th gate guy was able to keep up with multiple V2 Jinchuriki, not like the pseudo Jinchuriki Ginkaku. Now, if you don't want to include this because it's filler, then fine. But Rock Lee in the power filler is able to scrap with a QB V2 Jinchuriki along with Might Guy, where the both of them are able to smack that V2 around, which is a cut above the previous entries when it comes to power. Now, even though it's a filler, the reason I brought it up is because we can still gauge how strong 6th gate Lee would be. He's also able to kick Edo Madara in half, severing his link to the Ten Tails while amped with Naruto's QB chakra. He's also still somewhat relevant in the Ten Tails Madara fight in comparison to the rest of the rookies that had checked out long ago, and he's able to throw Minato's kunai fast enough to intercept 8th gate Guy's attack. He even manages to save Guy once. Sadly, he doesn't have enough screen time to have any better feats, though I think based on his longevity, he scales above the entries below him. Number 3. Sakura Haruno. Lord have mercy. Now I know that a lot of people hate Sakura, but there's no denying that since she's on Team 7, and that her 2 teammates are the saviors of the world, and no one from the rookies even comes close or compares, Sakura would rank pretty highly just because of that. Even in the earlier half of Shippuden, she plays a pivotal role in taking down Sasori, who eclipses Hidan, and is like the scariest figure in the Hidden Sand. As the battle goes on, Sakura begins to be able to detect Sasori's movements and pushes him to the extent that he reveals his true form. She even earns Sasori's respect, and he gives her his intel on Orochimaru. Her character does kinda go downhill after she sees Sasuke again, and in the pain arc, she's able to casually stomp a pain summon and is then summoned to take care of the injured. She's not so much too weak to contribute, but is more so needed in another place. The war arc is where she peaks though. She thinks that she's caught up to Naruto and Sasuke, and even though it's laughable, there's no doubt the other 9 rookies won't compare. She's able to do far more damage to the Ten Tails than most of the rookies, with Hashirama himself praising her and saying that she surpassed Tsunade. Even if you were to say she's as strong as Tsunade, that's still pretty impressive. She's able to summon Lady Katsuyu and heal pretty much every injured ninja in the battlefield. It's hard to talk about whether she'd scale above 6th gate Lee in terms of strength, but she's comparable to Tsunade, and Tsunade was able to break Madara's Susanoo ribcage with just her brute strength. And she also has Tsunade's healing factor, which makes her rather durable against physical attacks, with which she catches Madara off guard and forces him to use a Limbo clone to defend against her. She's also able to punch Kaguya with enough strength to break her horn, which is a feat greater than any of her classmates, with the obvious exception of her teammates. Number 2. Sasuke Uchiha. Now let me start this off by saying that the top 2 spots eclipse the rest of the Konoha 12, and it's not even close. Even in early Shippuden, Sasuke was able to dismantle a team comprising of Yamato, Sai, Sakura, and Naruto without even having to use his curse mark. And after absorbing Orochimaru, Sasuke is able to go toe-to-toe against Deidara. Meanwhile, other rookies have to team up with multiple comrades to even stand a chance against Akatsuki members. Heavy Sasuke actually scales above start of Shippuden Naruto, but their powers keep fluctuating. One gets Sage Mode, the other gets the Mangekyo Sharingan. One achieves control over the Nine Tails power, the other takes his elder brother's eyes and awakens the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. One befriends the Nine Tails, the other awakens the Rinnegan. You see what I mean. Sasuke is even strong enough for Obito to recruit him to the Akatsuki, And when Sakura tries to kill Sasuke and goes backed up by Lee and Kiba, both Sai and Kakashi think that they'd stand no chance against him. And Sasuke actually could have killed Sakura on multiple occasions if it wasn't for others intercepting Sasuke. Sasuke is also able to crash the 5 Kage summit and face multiple Kage plus their elite bodyguards, and even manages to kill Danzo 12 times. So I think it's safe to say that Sasuke is beyond the league of any of the Konoha 12, with the obvious exception of Naruto himself. Sasuke then awakens the EMS and fights Sage Kabuto along with Itachi, the same Sage Kabuto that's controlling every reanimated ninja. And he even joins Naruto in the battlefield later on, where he matches Naruto and is instrumental in the Allies' attacks against Jubito, arguably having greater offensive power than both the second and third Hokage. He then awakens a 6-paths enhanced Rinnegan, which grants him the ability to teleport, and with his Rinnegan Genjutsu, he's able to trap all 9-tailed beasts in planetoids simultaneously with just a glance. At this point in the series, the only person that can actually stack up to Sasuke is Naruto. And based on Sasuke's placement here, you can probably guess who number 1 is. And I'll elaborate as to why I didn't rank Sasuke at number 1 in this section. Number 1. Naruto Uzumaki. Not shocking or surprising at all. Naruto is so ahead of all his classmates in Shippuden that he doesn't even bother comparing himself to them and stacks himself up against higher caliber shinobi like Kakashi, the Akatsuki, and Sasuke. When Choji, Ino, and the others were restrained by Kakazu's tentacles, it was Naruto's jutsu that defeated him. And when Naruto learned Sage Mode after Jiraiya's death, he was beyond the league of any of his comrades. The village had all the rookies except for Team Guy and Sasuke, and none of them could even take down a single path. Naruto was able to take down 5 of the 6 paths of pain, admittedly with the help of some of the toads of Mount Nyoboku, and even when Tendo Pain got the upper hand, the 9 tails inside of Naruto was able to break free of Pain's strongest attack. Based on the fact that Naruto would come to control that power, I figured I might as well bring it up. So Naruto basically beyond surpasses all of his colleagues, except for Sasuke, pretty early in Shippuden. He then goes to Turtle Island to master control over the 9 tails, which propels it to an even greater height, where Naruto is able to essentially solo the war. He's able to fight multiple high Kage and above level opponents like the second Mizukage, third Raikage, Edo Itachi, and Nagato. Meanwhile, his classmates are struggling fighting the White Zetsu, and they even needed Naruto on the battlefield as he's the only one able to detect the White Zetsu infiltrators. He then goes on to fight Obito and his 6th Jinchuriki, and once he finally befriends Kurama, he's able to output enough force to cancel out 5 tailed beasts combined. And then Madara and the allies join the war, and after Neji dies to a bunch of large splinters, Naruto realizes that everyone around him is substantially weaker than him, and decides to protect everyone by sharing his chakra with everyone, where everyone that receives Naruto's chakra gets an amp. The only person portrayed to be at his level is Sasuke, and even then, Sasuke is speechless when he sees how much chakra Naruto has and starts to feel a tad salty. Naruto also takes the lead against Jubito, and when he receives his 6 paths amps, he's able to scare Madara more than 8th Gate Guy was able to, and his shadow clones are able to match Madara's limbo clones. Afterwards, when Black Zetsu uses Madara as a vessel for Kaguya, and Sasuke remarks that Kaguya is way beyond Madara in terms of power, Naruto is able to perform much better against her than Sasuke, and he even manages to rip her arm off. He's able to create thousands of clones, each of which can use Rasen Shuriken infused with each Biju's special chakra. I'd even say that a shadow clone of Naruto could potentially solo the Rookie 10. Afterwards, Naruto and Sasuke have their titanic clash, where both are forced to use everything in their arsenal. However, Sasuke gets the advantage when he uses his Rinnegan to absorb the chakra of all the 9-tailed beasts. And Naruto, while using only his own chakra plus the yin half of the 9 tails, is able to match Sasuke's amped attack. Naruto wasn't fighting Sasuke with killer intent until Sasuke absorbs all the Biju, meaning that Sasuke has to amp himself up in order to force Naruto to not hold back. Even towards the end of the battle, Sasuke absorbs what little chakra Kurama prepared for Naruto. And even with that advantage, they still end up equating in strength and blow each other's arms off. Naruto's goal was not to kill Sasuke, but incapacitate him. And with the both of them left in a state where if either one moves they would die due to blood loss, you can make the argument that the battle could have ended differently if Naruto was going for the kill instead. Naruto and Sasuke are considered to be relative at that point, but it is implied that Naruto has the edge. And Naruto had been fighting for way longer than Sasuke anyways, so it makes sense that Sasuke is really only able to match Naruto when amped with the Bijou. And that's it for today's video, you guys. Hopefully I didn't stir up too much hate. I think the most placements that are gonna trigger people is my ranking for Ino and Choji, but I still stand by my list. I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for ranking Neji and Shino as low as I did, but if you wanna blame someone, blame Kishimoto. Neji and Shino have pretty much no development in Shippuden whatsoever. I was originally gonna include Sai, but I thought that I'd stick with the original 12, since this video is a follow-up to my Konoha 12 video. If I had to rank Sai, I'd maybe put him at number 8, 9, I don't know. He does defeat Edo Deidara and Sasori, but they were weakened and caught off guard. He's also apparently killed a bunch of people for Danzo, so he's stronger than people give him credit, but he doesn't have enough feats for me to put him in the upper half. Also, please remember that I'm only considering Shippuden feats, so no the last or Boruto feats. If I was to include the last feats, then Hinata would obviously be much higher. Other than that, bye bye.